Hey there, crazy kids. This is Chris with Moto Photo Adventures and welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to talk about a great way to reduce your fatigue on your next big adventure. Those of you who have been following along on our YouTube and social media channels have probably noticed that Trinity here took quite a spill in Utah. As part of our Trans-America Trail, we went through some pretty treacherous terrain, and there were a couple times where some bike naps might have happened. Well, on one of those spills, I cracked my Givi windscreen. Now, many years ago, if you go back and look at the trip that I took to Mexico, before that trip I had switched out my screen to something a little bit more appropriate for long distance travel. Hasta luego, amigos. You're welcome. Sadly, it cracked into multiple pieces and we had to create a memorial for it out in the middle of the desert. Well, today I'm going to tell you I have reordered the Givi D1121ST screen. I absolutely loved that screen on the bike. Coming home and having to replace the old stock screen on the bike, I realized what a woefully inadequate windscreen that is, and I have been noticing a ton of extra fatigue after a day's ride with the stock windscreen. So today we're going to replace that screen with the new Givi D1121ST, which is the same one that I had before, because it is absolutely phenomenal and I think one of the best additions you can make to the CB500X. So first thing we're going to do is unscrew the 4 bolts that take out the original Honda windscreen. Now you will notice I've got some spacers built into the little windscreen, and I kept those when I put the stock one back on, but I told you guys a little bit about this again back in my Mexico trip, but I'm going to go into a little bit more detail and explain what I've done and why. But first, let's go ahead and unpack the D1121ST from Givi and compare it to the original factory Honda windscreen. Givi, Honda. That's quite a difference. Having this on the bike is not a whole lot more than just having a naked bike. You might as well have a CB500F, which is a naked version of the CB500X. Honda does make a slightly larger windscreen. I think it goes up to a couple of inches higher. But again, it's still not anywhere near as comprehensive a wind protector as this Givi one is. And I have just found that at 5'7" with a 30-inch inseam, this windscreen just gives me the perfect bubble. So when I'm on a long distance trip, hours and hours on twisty back roads, highways, even when we did the Trans-America Trail, all the dirt and off-road, I still had this screen on it because, if you're doing a trip like the Trans-America Trail, it's not all dirt, and there are times when you're going to jump on the slab and you're going to have a ton of wind in your face. So to have a screen like this that protects you from all of that buffeting and the helmet is just going everywhere from the high-speed wind, it just reduces so much fatigue at the end of the day. It's unbelievable. So Givi D1121ST, highly recommended. And let me show you how I modify it to get even better airflow than original stock mounting provides. And you don't have to buy a whole bunch of new hardware. We will be using some of the original hardware, but you do need to replace a couple of little things, and let me show you that now. Here is the original grommets. So So those are the original mounting points that the Honda factory screen directly attaches to. So we're going to be keeping those, and all you need to do is purchase slightly longer bolts and some washers. And right here you can see a couple of 4 little spacers. Now the way that I got those spacers is by going to Lowe's and picking up some of this 1/2-inch riser flex pipe made by a company called Orbit. It's product number 35151-01. And you're basically just going to cut those into tiny little spacers, and those are going to go underneath the windscreen to push it slightly further away from you. So as you're riding, the windscreen is going to be offset from the bike a little bit, and that basically allows a little bit of airflow to come underneath the windscreen, and it comes up over the top and smooths out the airflow to reduce the buffeting. Of course, if you are taller or shorter than I am, you may want a different spacer. I personally have found that 1 3/8 is about the right distance for me, but my friend Christy has hers are a little bit shorter. She's about 1 inch on these spacers. What's your favorite mod to your bike, Christy?
Gasoline.
The windshield right now.
The windshield. You like that windshield? You got a Givi?
My neck.
And did you modify it like I did with the little spacers?
I did, yeah. Yeah, I tried. I got a 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, and 3/4 inch.
See
I
if you
like
can
the
see those little spacers. See those little white little spacers? So it just depends on your personal preference, but the nice thing about buying one of these flex pipes is you've got lots of material to work with. So start off short, cut yourself a 1-inch spacer, then go to a 1 1/2 or a 1 3/8. Try a couple different sizes out to see what works best for you. So once you have your spacers cut, all we're going to do is use the slightly longer bolts that you have purchased. Of course, the length of those bolts is going to depend on how long a spacer you've decided to go with. I do highly recommend that you purchase stainless steel bolts, and then the spacer is going to basically push that screen out and hold it away from the bracket. And then just for extra safety, what I normally do is I take a new little washer and put that at the end of the spacer just to keep everything secure. As with any DIY project, take your time, go slow. These are modifications that this particular screen was not designed for necessarily. So you have to just kind of finagle it a little bit, make sure it gets in there and gets in place. But as you can tell, massive, massive improvement over the original stock screen. Big height difference. Nice cutouts right here for your handlebars so that there's no impeding of your turning. But the best part is now we have a little channel right here. Instead of being down close to the fairing, a little channel for a little bit of wind to slip up underneath here. And when that meets with the wind that's coming over the top, it smooths it out right up over your head, as opposed to it just coming up here and going blah, 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 blah. So I personally find it is a huge improvement. I've really enjoyed this screen the last couple of years, and I was really sad when it got damaged. So now I've ordered the same exact one, and I'm super excited and ready to get back out on another big adventure. Ta-da! All right, you guys, I hope that really helps you out, especially some of you taller riders out there that get a little wind buffeting on these smaller bikes, the CB500X. If little tips like this really help you out, I hope you'll give our channel a thumbs up and check out some of the other videos. I've done a ton of modifications to my CB500X. Maybe some of them will help you out. Also subscribe to the channel as we take these bikes to all kinds of adventures all across the country and beyond. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.